Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/beat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/BEAT.
Oh, quarantine. Well, I guess not for very much longer, I guess, at this point.
I guess there's an actual expiration date on that.
Oh, no, it was definitely good while it lasted. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Classics, the Cinematic Movie Podcast. That takes you back to the iconic films of 20 years ago, right here on the Big Three, Apple Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. I'm your guy, Jay Alonso. With me, of course, is
David Danger Neff. How you doing, partner?
Tired, Dave. It's weird because I can't say I'm tired. I'm not necessarily tired. I get plenty of sleep. But it's more so because we constantly are working on beat stuff every week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so
have we really had a break? Has this truly been... Have we really been on vacation this entire time?
I would say yeah, because we get to do what we like to do. I think I'm more so on a vacation from having an actual boss. So fuck that guy. But I enjoy having this time off to work on really just beat stuff. And we've been busy.
We have been busy.
How are you, my good lad?
Besides working on beat stuff, I guess I'm okay. Exciting news for those who have been living under a rock for the last 18 hours or so. The governor of Nevada has officially started phase 2 of the reopening of the Silver State. You know, they did like this thing where they were like closed, and then they were like Battleborn Beginnings, and then like Silver State Second. I don't know. They were labeling the stuff, and I'm like, don't label it. Just say phase 2. It's fine to say
Vegas is stronger.
Right.
2.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Countdown. But decent possibility that I'll be going back to work here in about a week. I can neither say that I am not excited, and I can say this. I don't mind the idea of going back to work. I have a problem with the idea of how safe we're going to wind up being, because somebody somewhere is going to screw up a safety protocol somewhere. And next thing you know, we're right back into the mess of this thing again.
Listen, dude, I'm with you 100% because, I was just talking to my lady and, she works for the gym. So I'm beyond concerned about the whole thing. Like, I'm at the place where we're only opening up because it's time to start making some money out here because we can't do too much of anything else. My level of comfortability in regards to going back outside and working back out in the field, it's just not there. It's not there at all. And I feel like it'll be some time before I get to that level of, all right, I'm ready to be back out in the field and going back to movie theaters again and catching shows and doing, what we perceive as the norm. You know what I mean? Because the one thing that's guaranteed in this whole situation is this COVID-19 is not going away. It's still here. So it's just more so the push of getting everybody back out and back working.
Which is funny with the movie that we're talking about today.
It is.
because of kind of the topic it hits on a little bit. But no, you're not wrong. It's just it's going to be kind of a trial period for everybody. I know a whole bunch of white people love it, which usually if white people love it, that means I should probably hate it. But that's kind of
go against the grain, Dave.
That's kind of been my MO now since I started that beat. Pretty sure I'm starting to get reverse vitiligo and may fully go Uncle Ruckus.
If the white guy loves it, I hate it. I hate it.
But moving on to some other news, this Friday, some pretty big stuff is coming on.
Yeah.
more. Come on, get excited now. You know,
I'm excited. What are you talking about? All right, listen.
we got the new 2-minute drill live that's coming in, and
2-minute drill live is on Friday. Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have 4 contestants on the show. I'm looking forward to get back into that burgundy jacket, man. I'm Jen Lonzo, aka Dan Burgundy, and yeah.
Dan Burgundy.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's been cool. What I told Dave was before we got on was, even though I love what we do, like beat, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like we're just kind of taking ideas and creating fresh content. And we happen to be doing it in a time to when people are at home and they need something to do, to play along with, to listen along with, you know. So we're all just kind of connected in this weird virtual way.
Right.
But considering that this is now the second 2-minute drill, looks like we're gonna be doing it monthly. Looking forward to doing the show. That's gonna be on Friday. Great questions coming up. We wrote off some new questions, new category. It's gonna be cool. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to breaking up that burgundy jacket again.
Dan Burgundy here.
Dan Burgundy.
What else you got going on? I saw that you took the recent win over Los in the 20
20 battle.
I made this joke. I was like, so if Los just keeps going, is this like a Pagata thing? You know, he's just climbing the tower.
Well, he was climbing that tower, but then he got broke off the second fight. So
you must climb that tower, you know.
You gotta get to
and now somebody pressed continue, and now you're the fighter. What nobody knows yet is that I'm the M. Bison of the group here, you know, because I'm going to come out dressed all in swag doctor gear, you know, and I'm going to be medicinal on you.
I'm telling you, man.
If you get up to that final.
Telling you, man. If it ends up being the final battle is me versus you, we're going all out. We're doing movie soundtracks. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do all that shit. Like, no, you can't play that. I already played that one. So yeah, but me and Los, we saw each other last week. We did battle 20 for 20. I represented Rockefeller Records. He represented Young Money, Cash Money, and from the scorecards that were collected, I spanked that ass. So I got the dub for that. I did send him a video. I was supposed to be on the noise yesterday, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. But I did send him a video of me calling out my next opponent. So look out for that on the Noise Podcast page as well as the Network page. And I think I may post it on the Back to the Classic page as well.
Why not?
Why not? Who the next opponent is going to be? Who I've already called him out. He knows I'm calling him out. So yeah, homeboy, I'll see you soon. And I think that battle is going to be next Friday. Actually,
there you go.
Yes, sir.
And finally, the third show that you've been.
Third show. I forgot. See, I'm doing too much. Turn my mic up is making this official return. You work on days that only end in Y, so what do I know? Listen, man, Turn My Mic Up is making its official return. The original cast is back. Myself, Los, Kev, Corey, RJ, we're all coming back very, 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 very soon. I'm going to lock in a date. I can't say on this date. I'm not officially sure if it's going to be this date, but I want to say it should be next Thursday before the battle and for next week. So all 5 of the cast is back together again. Turn My Mic Up. I can't wait to do that again with those guys. And that's all my news. Yeah.
Unfortunately, once again, we have to switch this to a very depressing topic. I wasn't very looking forward to speaking on this because we've all been pretty passionate about what happened. 2 days ago, a gentleman, George Floyd, was murdered by, and I am using the word murder here very clearly, by a police officer after begging to let him off his neck. He was placed in handcuffs.
This is in Minneapolis, by the way.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota. The 4 officers involved have been fired. but no charges have been pressed yet in terms of where the DA is going to go with it, or if there's any charges that's ever going to happen. Early thoughts. I'll take this one. It's depressing. It's something that continues to happen in the Black community, and I can't stress how much I can't stand it anymore. I don't understand why there can't be better training. I don't understand why there's such a lack of compassion for this, and how quickly people of my color quickly turn to kind of say, well, he shouldn't have been doing this. You know what? Here's what I gotta say to that. Screw you. Hopefully you're never put in a situation where the roles are reversed and you have to decide, well, I should have been, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is what they love to do, right? Mm-hmm. I'm distraught. I'm also very numb to the whole thing. And when people turn, and there's been a lot of great information that's been out there, a lot of great memes also, especially when it speaks upon, Colin Kaepernick being kind of a part of this. Not really a part of this, but he's been kind of re-entered into the conversation because
showing you the reason why he's kneeling.
Yeah, the reason why he's kneeling. Mm-hmm. So, which do you feel more comfortable with? Do you feel more comfortable with a former NFL quarterback kneeling in protest for police brutality, or are you more comfortable with a white police officer kneeling on the neck of a Black man that wound up causing his death? You decide. You decide where your character stands from that, and that's all I really need to know. Dick, what are your thoughts?
Wow.
I know. I really, really kind of spun that well, huh?
I'm like, ooh. No, man. Seriously, dude. It was news that I can't necessarily say is surprising. I can't say that it's, oh my God, this new low. No. This is something that has happened for decades and decades.
Literally
and decades. Like, we thought we were getting somewhere. Like, now that we can catch shit on camera. When Rodney King got beat up, that shit was on the camera. That was in the 90s.
That was 1991.
So here we are in 2020. And not only is it on camera, we have the piece of shit officer literally looking like he's having a blast doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's good with, even when EMTs show up, and I don't want to reference the video as much because I have seen the video, and as graphic as it is, it just hurts my soul. And for me, it's hard to remain upbeat, remain Jay Alonso, the personality that I am, and see things like this and not be, genuinely affected by it, but more so start thinking certain thoughts that I probably shouldn't be thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because
I'm probably right there with you with those thoughts.
I'm telling you, because what you have is, you have people like you mentioned earlier who will say, "Oh, that's fucked up, man," and you're doing these guys like that. But granted, when it's time for y'all to speak up and say something, you're quiet as fuck. You don't say nothing at all. Like, just like the ever evolving, not every cop is bad line. I'm so sick of hearing that fucking line too. Because granted, while not every cop is a bad person, because I know 2 or 3 cops myself, and they are out there to do what they were sworn to do, which is serve and protect. But even with those good cops that you know are out there, when are they going to come forward and say, yo, this is fucked up. What we're doing is wrong. You feel what I'm saying? And unfortunately, as you can see what's going on in Minneapolis right now, they're only going to get enough until people begin to fight back. And that's kind of what's happening right now.
Here is the best image that I can really say on this, and great image. Maybe 3 weeks ago in Michigan, we had a whole bunch of protesters begging for the state to open up because people are losing their livelihood, right? Because people are losing their livelihood because of this virus. Mind you, this is a virus that doesn't discriminate. This is a virus that kills, and it kills very frequently, as we've passed over 100,000 deaths. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, that's still a mortality recovery rate of 99.7%. No. We know 1,000,007 have gotten this. We know that of that 1,000,007, 100,000 people died from that. That's 5.8%. For those of you who really need the math to be done for you. So, do that over a long scale of time. That's one thing. But back to the point that I'm trying to make. You have this sign of protest from the police officers, right? And the police officers are getting yelled at by a white guy with a gun, and the gun is sitting there in the state capitol, no problem. And he's just like pointing in their face and whatnot, yelling at these officers. Police officers do nothing. Minnesota protesters who are protesting against these guys had tear gas fired upon them as they were sitting down with hands up. Mind you, for those of you who don't understand what tear gas does to you, tear gas makes you cough.
Right.
And makes you sneeze and makes you tear up. So in the middle of this virus, of course, officers will turn around and do the thing that we've all been saying you shouldn't be doing. And this was to protest the gun life. I'm angry, to be honest. I'm angry and I'm frustrated because I know what's going to wind up happening. This will be a news cycle story for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then eventually it'll get rolled underneath a carpet somewhere.
Well, it's the thing, and
the next story is going to be about hospitalizations from COVID. That's
what
it's going to be about.
This is why I say, they're trying to create something to where no one should be kind of numb to it, because literally before just past Monday, and it was on tape, we're still calling out the cries of Ahmaud Arbery, and he was killed in February. We didn't get those tapes till 2 months later. You feel what I'm saying?
Young lady with a no knock. No knock.
Yeah.
She takes a shot because she thinks somebody's trying to break into their house. They light her up.
And then the chick in Central Park who threatened to call the cops on the one guy, and it's like, okay. The one thing people need to truly understand about what's going on here, just like anything that's pushed too hard and you're pushing. What do you do when that thing you keep pushing eventually push the fuck back? And I'm not the one to go out there and tell people, yo, fuck that, fight back, but what it's always been these recurring jokes about the revolution, this ultimate race war when it goes down, But what do you do when that shit actually happens? You already have people now believing I can't turn to police to protect and serve me, because every time a cop gets behind me, it's now a matter of life and death. No person in this world should have an interaction with the police and immediately think I could die right now. It's a good chance I may actually die right now. Depending on how this cop is feeling at this time, I could lose my life over a fucking tail light that's out. You know what I'm saying? So the fact is, you can lose your life for forgery. And the cop has his knee on your neck, hand in his pocket, like, yo, I've been doing this. You motherfuckers is late. I've been on this. You know what I'm saying? For forgery. You know what I'm saying? So it instead of us, Consular, this is messed up, and we need justice. What do you do when people start fighting back? I mean, not just fighting back, like if the cop pulls his gun on us, we're gonna probably pull our gun on the cop.
Yeah.
And one of us gonna have to go.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? I'm not promoting this in a single way. In no kind of form or fashion, I'm saying you go out there and fight the police, none of that. But the message and the question is, what do you do when that time comes? Because the one thing that this particular thing has awakened in me, though it feels like every single like every other case, there's something else about this case that feels different. Like you've now awoken something that you didn't fucking plan for. You know what I'm saying? 24 hours later, they tore Minneapolis up because of that shit.
Yeah,
You know
and they did. And I'm glad that they did. But this has got to be consistent. It can't just be with one death. It's got to be. It's got to be with all of them. It should be tattooed as a rallying cry. You know, why is it that the first time that any cop had charges pressed against them and were actually convicted had to happen to a white cop, female, in Dallas after and wound up getting a hug from the judge, you know, and wound up, you know, getting forgiven by being forgiven by the brother of Botham Jean. Why is it that that's the first time? I don't know. I don't know the character of Amber Geiger. I can tell how it was portrayed, but I can also probably suggest that of the other cops that murdered, she probably wasn't nearly as bad. Probably wasn't. And yet she's the one that gets it. And that's fine. You know, the ball has to drop somewhere. But guess what? Like all these other cases, all these other white men who probably won't get prosecuted for this. It's just going to be another thing where we just kind of raise our hands up. You know?
But you know what? I mean, let's think about something for a second. Like, if George Floyd wasn't a 6 foot whatever black man, who I just found out earlier that he's really close with Steven Jackson, and so if he wasn't a 6 foot whatever black man, if he was a 5'6", 5'7" banker out of fucking Brooklyn, would the outcome been the same? No.
We don't know.
If it's me and you, and one of us just try to pass off a phony $100 bill, same scenario, me versus you. You're bigger than me. You're taller than me. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm also white. I'm not getting a knee on the back of my neck.
No. You may leave with a ticket. You might not get cuffed. Oh, but my black ass? Oh, what? They stopped me out like that. Then we out here stopping my shit up. Because. But the thing is, like you're not. There's no physical threat if you already got somebody in cuffs. He's not. Listen, everything that they already submitted as a statement to the media has already been proved false. They said the man was resisting. He was not. They said he was on top of substance. He was not. They said that he was sitting on top of his car. He wasn't. Like everything that they're feeding, all the bullshit that they're feeding people, never happened. You grabbed him, cuffed him up, put your knee on his neck, and you watched him die. As the people around you pleaded with you, he's not resisting. Let him get up. Just get him in the car. They pleaded with you.
Now, I know some people will turn to those people and say, well, they should have done more. How? What, you want them to tackle a cop?
Going back to what I was saying earlier, let's just say hypothetically, all the people that was out there at that time while I was going on, they was like, hey, fuck this shit. And they bummed the cops. We're not too far from that outcome. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, you can hold your phone out and record some bullshit. Yeah, you could. But even deep down inside to yourself, when do you say this is not enough? You're watching this. You're watching the life from this dude literally fade away. You're watching him literally fade away. He was dead before the ambulance even got there.
Yeah.
Come on now. They did one of those. Yeah, he gone. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time, your knee is still on this man's neck. So I'm not saying let's do that. But as you mentioned that example, like, yeah, they recorded, but what if they did something? We're not far away from that outcome. I'm trying to tell you. If it's black people out there seeing black people getting treated wrong by police or whatever, the time of just recording is gonna be passing by. Now it's gonna be fuck that. I'm jumping in here because it's 4 of y'all and like 15 of us, and we're watching you do this to this man. No, that's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're not wrong.
I'm just saying, man. But
No, you're not wrong. I get what you're saying, and I think it's a very solid point. Which is exactly
you grow numb to it.
Which is why exactly why I'm trying to push better training for these officers. Come on, man. Look, a dude who's on PCP, of course, is going to be different. You know, yeah, you probably need to resist that guy because that guy has the strength of like a retarded orangutan or something like that. Those guys are fucking strong. But you know, like, I'm not saying that every arrest is going to be perfect. There's always going to be mistakes that happen. But come on, man. He's in cuffs. You really feel like you need to put a knee to his back shoulder. Okay, you ain't going anywhere, buddy. Okay? He's not going anywhere. At least it looks like the guy can breathe. He may scream, he may groan, you know, whatever. He may do all that. He's in cuffs. He's in cuffs. Put him in the back of a car.
Yeah, but when he's screaming at you, I can't breathe. Calling for his mama. I can't breathe. I'm telling you. And another thing that makes the whole thing just incredibly sad is that when you hear those words, I can't breathe, you immediately think who?
Eric Garner.
That's the first thing that comes to your mind. Like,
that happened 6 years ago.
This is history repeating itself, and this history wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying? And it's like not even a deadly virus can stop the bullshit when it comes to racial tension and police brutality. Not even the virus that's killing people can stop that.
You know what pissed me off most about the Eric Garner case? Like afterwards, after his death, after everything, it took 5 years to fire the cop. 5 years to fire Pantaleo. You know, because they had to go through an investigation and all that. Okay, cool. NYC, you do you. Well, was he working during any of those 5 years?
He had to be.
He had to be.
Had to be.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, and you know what? Let me give the benefit of the doubt. If he wasn't working, then what's taking you guys so long? If you don't have him on schedule, fire him. I think there's literal labor laws that speak on that shit. That's like, if I'm not working, then what am I doing? And if he is,
you know what?
why is he working? Why is it going to take you 5 years? What proof do you need? What more proof do you need? I don't know.
And that's the reason why.
So have a final thing.
That's the reason why this case is going to feel so different, because you never see officers get fired literally the very next day.
No,
they were fired the very next day.
I'm proud of the police force for doing that, but more needs to be put in place.
More needs to be done. Now that they're no longer officers of the law, you can now bring them up on charges.
Right.
Maybe not all four of them, but definitely the motherfucker had his knee on his neck.
And the mayor of Minneapolis literally said that today. Literally said, why isn't this guy in jail? Why is he not sitting in a cell right now? Mm-hmm. You know, with charges pressed against him if you guys already fired him. What's taking you guys so long? You know, exactly. There you go. All right, let's turn this to a slightly happier franchise movie that we are very happy.
We're going slightly happier with this particular movie.
It's a little bit. It's a goofy, fun action flick.
Because there's no way we can talk about what we just talked about and then go into like Toy Story 2. We just couldn't do it.
Oh.
All right, Toy Story 2.
I think I would literally ask people, do you guys think we're insane? Well, you guys just talked about, a revolution and protest of a unarmed black man who didn't deserve to die, and now you're talking about Toy Story 2. Yeah, I would think you guys need to kind of work yourself out a little bit.
Work that out a little bit, because that's big. That's huge. All right, so today's movie, we are taking it back to the year 2000, of course, May 24th, with Mission Impossible 2, opening. Original release date, May 24th of 2000, shares opening weekend with Passion of Mine and Shanghai Noon.
And I want to be fair, because when I was making the schedule, I don't mind Shanghai Noon. I really don't. I like Shanghai Nights a little bit better, But I was like, but I just felt like it's a good time for a Tom Cruise flick.
If we're being honest, I've seen neither one.
You've never seen Shanghai Noon or Nights?
Noon or Nights. Nope. Never seen neither one.
Okay.
Matter of fact, and I'll tell you the reason why. And this is the complete reason why.
Because
I was
like Owen Wilson.
Wow. No, it's not that. But it's more so, it was Jackie Chan. I was so much into Jackie with Rush Hour, and then the Rush Hour 2 was coming and all that. I just didn't care to see Shanghai Noon or Nights. I just didn't care. But production budget, $125 million for the box office total of $546.4 million. This shit made money.
Movie of 2000.
Yes, it was.
Highest grossing movie of all the Mission Impossible movies.
Present day?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
57% on Rotten Tomatoes. I can agree with that 57%. The reason why, honestly, it's not a good movie. It's just not. But as far as, if you follow every single movie up to what, 6?
Yeah, it progressively gets better.
They get better, you know what I mean? So how we broke them down, we said for this particular trilogy, Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, and then Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout, right? So for me, Mission Impossible 2 just don't do it for me, man. Like, it's cool. It's way more action than the first one. The first one felt more like a Mission Impossible show. Versus the second one was more like, oh, this is pretty dope. The third one is the shit to me. I love the third one.
Sure. So I said this off camera to you, and this is how I feel about Mission Impossible 2. Of the original trilogy, 3 is the best, no doubt about it. 1 is... Okay, Mission Impossible 1 is better than Mission Impossible 2, especially on a rewatch. You could probably get into the first Mission Impossible a little bit heavier than Mission Impossible 2, but man, it is nowhere near as fun. There's nothing nowhere near as fun as Mission Impossible 1 compared to Mission Impossible 2. And that's mainly because in Mission Impossible 2, they brought in the legendary Chinese director, John Woo, who is
AKA Doves,
action piece galore, to come in and just basically spice up everything. Now, whereas Mission Impossible 1 was very similar to how the TV show was, Mission Impossible 2 said, you know what, we can probably get a pretty big budget for this, so let's actually use this budget to our advantage here. And I think this movie doesn't get the amount of love that it gets because of a lot of John Woo's decisions in this. That being said, it's still not a bad movie. It's just it's kind of forgettable. It's okay, but at the same time, you know they came out of there more fun than ever. I'll put it this way: when I was a kid, I enjoyed the hell out of Mission Impossible 2 because I wanted a popcorn flick. Mission Impossible 1 was a TV show. In fact, really, Mission Impossible 1 kind of only has 2 good scenes in it, and the rest of it is just kind of garbage. At least Mission Impossible 2 tries to make it stupid fun throughout most of this movie.
I agree. Okay, so where I'm at with this was when I saw Mission Impossible 1, it made me very skeptical for Mission Impossible 2. But the difference between the two movies was at the time, Mission Impossible 2 felt like a summer action blockbuster.
Yeah.
Popcorn camp. I remember it was a bid that Tom Cruise and Ben Stiller did for the Movie Awards, MTV Movie Awards years back, in which Ben Stiller, as Tom Cruise's stunt double, is like addicted to Tom Cruise. He even changes his name to Tom Cruise, right?
Right.
And so a lot of the Tom Cruise stunts for the award show bit, they'd be like, cut, and Cruise would get out, and then Stiller would get in there and just get the shit beat out, right?
Right.
So the promo material for the movie, I thought was fantastic. It was the first one. Actually, I believe it was the only one of the series that has a full soundtrack.
It does, and I got to give credit because this is probably the only real Limp Bizkit song I really, really, really like. Yeah, it's solid. It's a really, really solid song that I probably still throw on a playlist every once in a blue moon. So that kind of helped with this movie quite a bit.
Kinda did. I know 3 did it better because they had the Kanye score, which I thought was pretty dope. And then Kanye did the original song for the movie as well. But it was really, for me, like, Take a Look Around is a good song. I was addicted to I Disappear by Metallica. I thought it was such a dope song, which got you really, like, excited for the movie, you know what I mean? But then once you see the movie, it's like,
Now, this movie does kick off in a very John Woo. There's a lot of John Woo in this, and let me explain kind of what that means. Yes, John Woo is known for his action sequences, but John Woo is also known for basically like the thin line between are you good or are you bad. Now, this movie doesn't really have so much of a thin line, as it does have a widening chasm instead. But what's great about this is that they literally took a really, really unique concept and how Mission Impossible 1 did, and basically tripled the amount of that. And said, you know what, we're gonna really dive into mass stealing quite a bit. And this movie kicks off with kind of this weird narration. It is a weird narration, right? You know, it's this weird narration about this doctor who has who's basically trying to find a cure, or he's found a cure for this virus, but to make sure, but to know for sure that the antivirus is effective, he had then to create a major monster virus. And here's the beauty about it.
Let me mention this really quickly.
Sure.
When the doctor pops up, which is played by I always forget his name, but he plays a villain in every fucking thing. What is his name? Let me do a quick fact check.
Sherbedgia.
Rade Zerbezia? Yeah. When you first see his face, do you think he's the bad guy?
No, I think he's Albert Einstein. Because he kind of, man, if they were trying to make this guy look like Albert Einstein, they were really close.
Pretty dead on, if you ask me.
Right. He knows Ethan Hunt as this codename Dimitri, which I love. I got to be honest. And the reason why I love it is because they continued that with other movies where Ethan is always Dimitri. oh, Dimitri, he does this. Oh, Dimitri, no, he's my good friend, Dimitri. And it's
You are
like,
not Dimitri?
it's like, really? Like Tom Cruise is Dimitri to you? And it's hilarious. So he goes and he basically, without really knowing too much, you see him inject something into himself, right? Which you can assume is the virus, right? And of course, he's having a conversation with Tom Cruise on a plane, and in terrible CGI fashion. And mind you, I just watched Air Force One not that long ago, which I always complain about the CGI. But man, this CGI,
get off my
they
plane.
had like this plane flying off, right? And the clouds looked bad. I'm like, come on. I'm like, I know what the graphics were like in 2000, and you could get away with a little bit better principal photography than that. Oh, it was awful. Kind of having this conversation, and basically cabin pressure starts being lost, right? Because he's trying to transport this virus from he's trying to transport a bag basically from the lab that he was working in for BioSite back then to somewhere in Australia, right?
Going to Atlanta.
Atlanta, sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Atlanta. The plane gets hijacked, but really it was always going to be hijacked. And you get kind of this image of Tom Cruise playing a bad guy, and it's kind of cool. Like you're like, wait a minute, what is going on here? He goes in, he's like, you keep calling me Dimitri. You shouldn't do that.
You really shouldn't.
Yeah. You really shouldn't. And I'm like, huh? Like, so this is just a thing now? And he goes and he snaps the guy's neck, and I'm like, oh man, like what is going on here? And that's when we get the introduction to Doug Ray Scott, who is playing Sean Anderson.
Well, we actually get the introduction to the actual Ethan Hunt, rock climbing. And I believe he's actually climbing that rock.
Yeah, he is. So this was such a huge trailer shot. And this was, I think, really the first time that people realized how much into stunts that Tom Cruise really was. Because over the next 20 years of Mission Impossible movies, Cruise refuses almost sometimes to hire like stunt safety guys to do this stuff, and it's really, really great. But yes, Cruise is definitely hanging.
Yeah, it's that iconic shot of him. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Black pose,
wearing a black shirt.
Wearing a black shirt. Black Lives Matter, baby. That's why. Just holding himself up, and this really great shot of him trying to climb this rock, doing so. I mean, it is fucking top notch. I want to know how many people he pissed off. I want to know how many insurance companies he pissed off for that little stuff.
Well, think about it, because in the first movie, only big action piece you got, spoiler alert, was the train sequence. That was the big action set piece that you got. And you can clearly tell that's not real. So it's like, all right, well, cool. So the fact is that he kicks off the trailer for this movie doing this death-defying rock climbing thing. And apparently when he slips and falls, that's literally him really slipping and falling.
Right, yeah. I saw that and I was like, dope! Yo, that is so dope. I really, really love that idea.
So as he grabs it and he doubles up back around again, and then of course the song kicks in immediately, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. So by the time the helicopter flies in, the dude has the little capsule, points at him, and then shoots it. And then out comes the glasses. Oh, that was so badass to me, man. It was so cool.
And that's where really, like, I think this was kind of like the big middle finger to the first movie was. It's like, you know what? No, I totally get how great the first movie had good points, but even some of the set designs look dated. But in this movie, think about the importance of that scene in itself. Mm-hmm. Without that scene, without that trailer shot and how effective it is, we may not get Tom Cruise on the Burj Khalifa or clinging on the side of an airplane in mid-flight or falling without a parachute from, like the International Space Station, which for sure that's probably going to wind up happening And what are the future Mission Impossible movies? Because
this upcoming movie that they're doing where Doug Lyman just signed on to direct the space movie.
Right. And so without this scene, I don't think we get the next 20 years of Mission Impossible movies that comes out to be. And I think people see that and recognize that that's why that particular scene. It actually becomes very quickly my iconic scene in this film, because it's very much like it's what sells the movie, and nothing is happening to move forward the story. It just looks great. It's a great shot. For some odd reason, Anthony Hopkins is in this movie.
For some reason, Anthony Hopkins is like around. No credit, by the way. He gets no credit whatsoever that he's even in this movie.
No, he doesn't.
At all.
He gets a credited role in this, even though he has speaking roles in it.
He's in it for like a good 10 minutes. Like,
I'm like, this is a 2-hour movie. You want no credit for 10 minutes?
None. but the glasses comes out. He puts the glasses on. And it's Anthony Hopkins talking to him, giving him the full lowdown. And as he pulls off the glasses, he tosses them. Obviously, they self-destruct. Awesome. Right. But
this whole concept of this film is basically what exactly is this virus? How dangerous is this virus? And how should we retrieve it? So when Cruise meets Hopkins in Seville, Spain, to kind of discuss things, and they say that they basically need to recruit somebody, and they didn't. I liked how they presented this, because they were like, we need you to bring in this person, and he was like, cool. Then we come later to find out, they're like, well, the reason why we need you to bring in this person and not anybody else is because there's like a romantic connection between the villain and this person. I'm like, oh, so y'all are just being shady with Cruise now, because you guys knew that Cruise was going. Imagine if Cruise had that information beforehand. Do you really think he would have fell in love with Thandie Newton?
Not only that, that scene actually is written okay, but Hopkins has a very shitty line. He goes, do you think it'll be difficult? Cruise, Ethan Hunt says, very. Well, this isn't mission difficult, this is mission possible. Oh, who wrote that? Ew! I can smell it. I can smell those words.
Taste that line in the air.
Ew. Who wrote that? Oh, this isn't mission difficult, mission possible. Like, ugh. That's a horrible line.
Nine white guy, why are you doing this?
That's a horrible line. Who wrote that?
So as this kind of flirtatious, and let's be fair, it's definitely flirtatious. They go and she's trying to steal some diamonds, of course, because that's the only thing that thieves are ever for is jewels, especially in the 2000s. They kind of present this really unique option of doing this little flirtation device, and then for some odd reason they have the weirdest car chase scene for recruitment out there. I mean, it's weird.
Super unlikely.
Watching it now, I was like, is this a necessary action piece? Like who goes leaps and bounds to recruit somebody for here? He could.
Well, I'll say this though, because the scene when she's trying to steal the necklace, I thought that was very clever. The fact that he knew why she was there, he triggered the alarm, the whole nine. So he let her walk out scot-free, but also triggered the alarm as well. But that was very cleverly done.
I mean, kind of. She didn't get the diamonds. She didn't
get the diamond either. But the very next scene is the most awkward car race. Like she goes, "Because if you want me, you got to catch me. I don't want you that bad. I can actually do something else about time. I
could just follow you into the next town.
I'll just drive behind you. I'm not tripping. I can drive too.
You're not going to put people's lives in danger. I'm pretty sure you won't put people's lives in danger.
And I'm not going to help you do so. So there it is.
And I gotta say, this was probably the first real time I crushed on Thandie Newton, which is weird because, like in other movies, they kind of make her seem a little raggedy. Like Pursuit of Happiness, they made her seem really old. And I'm like,
she was the shit mom.
I know, and but in this movie, she is just gorgeous, and she's hitting the pinpoints of exactly what you kind of look for. Like, yes, she's playing the damsel in distress, but like some of the decisions she makes in this movie, I'm like, yo, like, good for you. Like, like women's empowerment and all that. Like, I'm glad you made a decision to force people into this decision. Now, if you're an Alfred Hitchcock fan, there's a movie out there called Notorious, and you'll quickly see that this movie borrows most of its plot line based on this. And Notorious stars Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman, and Claude Rains. And the entire point of it is Grant is a spy who sends Bergman's character to basically where to Claude Rains' fortress of whatever, and basically has to fall. And basically, you know, they're both basically fighting for her affection. Also, Rains is a Nazi, so that kind of helps as well. What's great that they kind of did this is there's no way that Thandie Newton would be nearly as good as Bergman in Notorious, but she is kind of awesome in this.
You know? She's cool, you know, considering the fact that you have to kind of question her morals. Is like, is she doing this because of her love for Ethan, or is she doing this because she knows what Ambrose is doing is wrong?
Right.
What do you get out of this?
Right.
So I think it's more so the fact that she met Ethan, fell for him, and he convinced her to do it, and by showing her that he didn't really want her to do it.
Right. So as they kind of get the gang back together, which I totally forgot that there was, I totally forgot that outside of Luther there was John Polson playing Billy. Is that his name? Billy Bear.
Mm-hmm.
I totally forgot that he like existed as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh right, you know, which kind of tells you a little bit. Like Luther was definitely a piece that was needed. And so this movie kind of does this like back and forth, going back and forth. Dougray Scott is quickly spitting over Thandie Newton, of course, whereas his boy, who is trying to tell him,
"Who don't trust nobody,"
he's like,
"You don't trust nobody."
He's like, "Yo, something's up with this," and I'm like, you know what? You may be the first henchman that caught on that something was bad. He goes, you don't think it's weird? A week after all this shit happens, she just magically shows up at the door, you know, and you don't think anything's weird about it.
Like, she wasn't necessarily rushing to come back to you either. Like when she left, she was gone.
Right. She was gone 6 months ago. All of a sudden, she
was gone. Yeah. The henchman.
I don't think the henchman is actually like wrong in any of his thoughts on this. Clearly, but Dougray Scott is playing the fool here, you know, and straight up like cuts nearly the tip of his pinky off with a cigar cutter because loyalty or something, or I don't know.
Well, but
decisions. Bro, that is the point of the main henchman. The main henchman is supposed to question your thoughts. Come on, man.
You didn't put me in a position just to be here, bro. Like, the mission wasn't done. I said, no, some don't feel right.
If that's the case, I'll guard the west wall or something like that. like, come on, man.
Like, something didn't feel right. I'm telling you, she ain't here for the reason why she says she here. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now.
So afterwards, they go into this horse race event, and it's kind of whatever. This scene, like this entirety of the scene, only proves to get to one point only, which is what exactly do they have? How bad is Chimera? Basically, you find out it's pretty fucking bad. Within 27 hours of being exposed to these things, you're dead. As they showed, being injected into the doctor's partner in crime. and it's a really, really, really ugly virus that basically melts you down. You know, it's disgusting. But there's not a lot that's really happening here, except for one little thing, and that is as Thandie Newton uses her thieving skills once again to find whatever's on this memory card, and I can't help but laugh because that camera looks so goddamn old. I'm like, yo, that camera looks 20 years old. I'm like, it doesn't even have an HD screen. Like everything's in SD, so you can't really make out everything. It's not high definition.
Right.
And because it has a dormant period of 20 hours before it really causes this mass destruction, they know that they have to have something. You know, so Ethan goes and determines that the best way to do so, as Ambrose is talking with another gentleman, McCloy, who is played by
Brendan Gleeson.
Yep, Brendan Gleeson, who always seems to kind of play the scumbag UK guy.
He's really good at it. Yeah.
He's really
George!
So Ethan's team basically kidnaps McCloy to force him to give up the antivirus, which is known as a Bellerophon. As for those of you who are Greek mythology people, if we have those that are watching this, Chimera obviously was killed by Bellerophon. It was the knight who killed him. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
I'm like, you're going way too deep. But okay.
But only the samples of Bellerophon were taken by the doctor, and they are currently in Ambrose's hands. So Ambrose doesn't actually have the virus. He has the antivirus. He has the cure. He doesn't have the disease. So once they figure that out, they know that more than likely that the Chimera is still being held at Biosite.
Now, this part, this where things gets pretty dope for me because
Now,
go ahead, you go ahead.
So, however, before all this happens, probably comes the best twist in this movie. To find out all of this stuff, Ethan dresses up as the former doctor, and McCloy's like,
I forgot about this scene. This is a good scene.
McCloy's like, I thought you were dead, you know, and they basically interrogate each other into doing so. Thandie Newton, in the meantime, tries to run away, you know, as she thinks she gets a signal from somebody and runs into the arms of Ethan Hunt. So what's going on here? I'm going to find out. The doctor is played by Ethan Hunt as he pulls off his mask later on, and then afterwards, Doug Ray Scott is actually playing as Ethan and tricking Thandie Newton to basically say what he was thinking all along.
No, you could actually do a
pinky, bro. You should have cut your boy's pinky. You were wrong.
Yeah, you know, you could actually do a drinking game with the mask reveals in this movie.
Yeah.
Take a shot every time somebody like reveals a mask. Like, it's so much of it. Like everybody's like, oh my god. After that part, now Ethan brings it to Biosite, correct?
Yeah, and again, some stuff from the first Mission Impossible movie kind of looks like it's happening. Go ahead.
Yeah, now Luther and Billy are trying to lure Ethan through these fans. I guess close within 30 seconds.
Yeah, what's that about?
Physically, you can't pull that shit off, but for the sake of the movie, it happens. Now Ethan gets down to where the actual disease is, and Naya is there with Sean Ambrose,
right?
Who believes he's making the exchange with McCloy,
right?
So the shootout begins. It's this whole crazy thing. Naya gets hold of the guns that are carrying
it's carrying Chimera.
Carrying the Chimera and injects yourself with it.
Right. So Ethan only has destroyed has destroyed the stock of the virus, so there's no more virus. Then destroyed two out of the 3 guns. She takes the last gun and injects it into her arm, and is now infected with the virus.
Right.
Which was good because it was kind of like, you know what? Like suddenly, because now it's suddenly she's not allowed to die.
Now she can't die. Yeah.
Because you can't kill her. She has the virus, and because of the decision that she kind of makes, it forces everybody's plan to go like right out the door. So I don't know. I really liked that moment from her because
it was a good chess move. Good chess move for sure.
Because she was kind of playing a little bit of the damsel in distress up to this point in this movie, and I really would have hated to see that that's what they do with a thief. It's like, okay, well, guess what? You're now this. It's like, no, I'm not this. Why am I this? So she gets injected. She now has 20 hours. And what proceeds to be what may be the most ridiculous action sequence to further proceed in this film kind of happens, because this movie is quickly wrapping itself up in it. So Ambrose takes Nia away as Ethan escapes from the laboratory. He then releases Nia smack dab in the middle of the streets of Sydney in a daze, and intending to basically start a pandemic right then and there. Because if she dies, this virus is going to spread. However, also in the process, Biosite, which is willing to bid $30 million into this, Ambrose is pulling a power move and is basically going to use the $30 million that's about to be given to him to buy 51% of the controlling stock in Biosite, making himself effectively a billionaire once the price of the stock shoots right up, which it probably was going to shoot right up. And of course, Ethan has to, fuck up everything. So one of the cool things about this action sequence is literally the third guy he fights. His first 2 guys are fine, but this third guy, the pigeons, and it's really pigeons, it's not even doves at this point. The pigeons are just kind of hanging out on the ground, and he proceeds to run. The pigeons kind of come flying at this guy. He doesn't really see it, and he straight up martial law backwards bicycle kick the gun out of this guy's hand with the other leg, kicking the dude in the face.
That's crazy because
he flew back. I couldn't stop laughing at this because it was ridiculously.
No. Ethan Hunt bicycle kicks the dude, lands perfectly back on his feet. Number 1.
Of course, he's martial law.
Number 2, the fact is there's no music playing during this fight. It's just simply all you hear is the flapping of the pigeon's wings. That's all you hear, and punches and groans. Like, what's up? The bird is flying all over the damn place. You know what I'm saying?
But what proceeds to happen, of course, is that Ambrose sends out Hugh Stamp, by the way, which is the main lackey, I guess we'll call him, to basically go take care of it. And a pretty decent fight happens between them. A couple punches are thrown before Stamp pulls a gun on Ethan. Ethan pulls a grenade on Stamp, and then whatever basically happens is knocks both of the guys down. Fast forward to Stamp bringing in Ethan.
What we believe is Ethan bringing him in. Yep.
Right. Tied up. Ethan not able to say anything, and Stamp goes, "I don't think he'd be able to say much of anything. I broke his jaw." And so Doug Ray Scott, in full glee, completely unloads his pistol onto him. But of course, as he falls down to the ground, his pinky that he cut is reflecting, as of course the mask has been pulled on Doug Ray Scott as he just shot Stamp. Meanwhile, Ethan, who's playing as Stamp, takes the antivirus and basically leads to his escape. Was unable to fully escape. A car chase scene happens. And I think that's where my problem is with this movie. I don't care for literally any of the car chase scenes. I don't care for any of them. There's one, and part of the reason why is because Wu decides to make this decision where he's taking the same shot from 3 different angles and think that's exactly what we want to see. And it's like, no. That was such a 2000s thing that I couldn't stand with the action movies. It's like flipping a gun, and then from this side, flipping a gun, and then from this side, flipping the same. It's still the same shot. He's still making the same gun.
Yeah. So when Ethan's on his bike, he does the whole foot brown thing. He gets the same shot from like 8 different angles. He said, bro, just shoot the fucking gun.
Right. And I'm like, dude, stop. Like, please stop this. Like, it's not doing anything for us.
That's more annoying than the doves.
It is.
And the doves are annoying.
So, of course, as it culminates to this final scene, Doug Ray Scott and Ethan fight on motorcycles because.
Okay, let me say this, please. Because this is gonna. I will say to cut that out because I think this thing is fucking retarded. It's the dumbest shit ever. They literally fight with motorcycles, right? Like they fight with motorcycles, right? But the climax of the motorcycle fight is that they're coming at each other, right? And they're both like, the camera's going back and forth, back and forth. They're all like, I'm gonna kick your ass, you know? And so they get close to each other, jumping off these bikes to pretty much run into each other, and the bikes also run into each other and explode.
Which makes no sense. But then after you see it explode, one of the bikes is still okay. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Meanwhile, because they collided in midair with each other, they're now falling about 40 feet to hit the sand.
Very fast and furiously.
People, I do not care how soft you think beach sand is. If you fall anywhere higher than 10 feet, 5 feet even,
you're breaking something.
You're going to hurt something.
Yeah.
You're at least going to be bruised. You should have something broken. But they were able to stand up just fine and proceeds to have a decent hand-to-hand fight. It was decent. It's also kind of forgettable. There was one sequence which was kind of nice, which is where Doug Ray Scott pulls a knife on Ethan and basically gets him across the face, and that looked legit. Like that looked legit. Good. But of course,
that and when Doug Ray Scott has the knife and the camera goes right to it perfectly, but it lands right just shy of the eye.
Yeah,
that's a great shot. That was a great shot.
It also kind of makes no sense because what happens is that Doug Ray Scott lunges forward, cuts Ethan's face, right? Because it cuts him on this side, right? Mm-hmm. Because Ethan turns around, then goes and with the knife still in hand, was able to slash Ethan's back, no problem. But then he kicks him. I'm like, why did you kick him? To do this scene. Ah! He straight up looked like a WWE wrestler with this knife coming in, which Ethan blocks. And what's great about this knife to the eye scene, which I gotta give Wu credit here, is you see this knife touch an eyelid. Like you see it touch.
Oh, it touches.
And I'm like, oh no, they were serious about where the placement of this knife is going to basically be at. Mm-hmm. So that was awesome. Ethan, of course, fights himself off, whoops the shit out of Doug Ray, and basically goes in this kind of final shot was a little weird, because as he goes and Ethan now has the cure and he's going to give it to Luther, who has landed with his helicopter, Doug Ray Scott finds the magical gun that's been hiding in the sand all this time.
The whole time. Yep.
Right. And Ethan also finds a magical gun that's been hiding in the sand this whole time. But Ethan goes and he throws the cure,
mm-hmm.
throws himself basically on the floor, dives to the floor, he kicks up he kicks up the gun to grab it to his hand and basically falls to the floor. And this is where I get irritated because I look at movies like John Wick, and of course, it's 20 years later. John Wick is a pretty fucking amazing action flick, right? So me seeing a gun actually going off and the bullet hitting somebody, like that kind of matters to me. But that's not what happens here. Ethan goes and gets he gets 3 shots off, and you see him fire the shots, pans over to Doug Ray Scott, and he's got bullet holes in him. Doing one of these. I'm like, woo, come on, man. That you could have done that so much better. You have done that so much better. I've seen your other products. Exactly, which is funny because this movie had such a huge influence on Face Off. So fine, movie's over. Movie wraps itself up with
another Anthony Hopkins appearance.
Anthony Hopkins appears again and says, "I don't understand. I thought you recovered the virus. How was it destroyed?" And Ethan just says, "By fire." Like, no, nobody should have this virus. So please stop thinking that you guys need another virus. China. And then he basically meets up with Andy Newton and hands out to whatever. Who cares? I've never cared for movies that end this way.
I'll say this is probably the most Paramount-ish of the Mission Impossible movies. Like it's shot in a certain way. Like this is a definite Paramount production. You can just tell.
You can tell Paramount had everything on this.
All right, let's get into some takeaways, man. Danger Neff was getting that guy work.
Oh, good, Ethan. Tom Cruise does carry most of this movie. This movie also, I think, probably has the least amount of running you'd see from Tom Cruise, which is
very little running in this movie. This one and the first one.
I know when he does the bicycle kick, he runs. But for the most part, he's not really running. It's not really an action sequence kind of movie like that.
Right.
It'll go to Thandie Newton, as she is literally the only chick in this movie. No, I'm not kidding. She is literally the only female in this movie. I don't know why females weren't cast more, but they weren't. But to be fair, it wasn't like she was a weak character. She was soft on the eyes, but also kind of had a heart of gold, which is what you want in your femme fatale, right?
True. That will work.
It's going to go to Doug Ray Scott very quickly and very easily because, dude, like, why are you not listening? Why are you not listening to the guy you put in charge of your own security to just say, that's bait. That's bait. I don't know what she's doing here, but that's bait. We're about to Ambrose, we're about to become millionaires. That's bait.
Like, you think she's just here to be here?
You think she just wants to come out here to sleep with you? You have money. You could buy her back, quite literally. We're getting ready to make a power play here. Focus on the goal. And Doug Ray Scott decided not
to. Cut that out.
Every car chase scene. Because
they're
not done well. They're not. Look, Steve McQueen's Bullet was an amazing car chase scene. Fast and the Furious showed us how great car chase scenes can really look, which will come out next year. This movie really does not do a good car chase scene whatsoever.
Not at all. Iconic scene.
The trailer shot. The trailer shot with Ethan holding up the cross. Because without that scene, I'm very doubtful that other Mission Impossibles would have been.
Well, nothing else really sells a movie like that shot.
It's true.
Right? Now, I remember the poster being just Ethan kind of looking out like that with the cut.
Mark on his.
But that's bad. And then a shitload of doves, shadows of doves are surrounding him in fire. Yeah. But nothing really sells a movie like that.
Right. My guy who is getting you that guy award.
I might as well give it to Ethan. Once again, definitely not my favorite performance by Tom Cruise. Damn sure not my favorite Mission Impossible movie, but the action is upped from the first movie, and it's like I said, it's the more Paramount-ish of Mission Impossible movies for sure.
Tom Cruise's hair is amazing in this movie. No, it is amazing for what it would later become. Like, the fact that this movie never gets raggedy in this, I was like, you know what? This is very 80s.
I like Tom Cruise with the fade, man. I like the fade.
I like the fade also. But the hair waving in the wind, never getting in his face. Good.
Nah.
Amazing.
Nah, I'm good.
Lies.
I'm gonna give it to Teddy Newton, Nia Nordolph Hall. She's the only chick in this movie, but it's just very much a strong character. She gave a great performance. The one thing I will say is that by the third movie, I'm glad they kind of had a set thing on Ethan having this one particular love interest, because it was getting to be too much like, oh, this is like our James Bond. I'm like, no,
right. I can't stand that either.
You know what I'm saying?
When they finally decided on Michelle Monaghan, and then they stuck with that, I'm like, you know what? Good.
Because you feel more about that, like they can't be together because of what he does, but the fact that you have a different chick every movie, like, okay, all right, let's relax, all right, let's chill out.
Yeah. Cut that out, or I'm sorry, that fool.
I was gonna give it to Dude Great Scott. I'm gonna give it to the henchman, because when you see he's not listening to you, don't risk your fucking pinky for he don't, because you don't want to listen. I'm out. It's the reason why she's here, bruh. You're not paying attention. I lost a pinky because of this? No. Yeah, you gotta go.
Cut that out.
Cut that out is gonna be even though the car chase scene in the beginning is god awful, I'm gonna give that motorcycle scene is horrible. When the motorcycles are fighting each other, it's like, this is fucking stupid. I hate this.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And iconic.
I'm with you, man. The opening scene, that trailer shot. Without that trailer shot, you have no trailer for this movie. I wouldn't know what other way to actually sell this movie unless you had that trailer shot. You know what I mean?
This is a very difficult movie to sell without that trailer shot.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get to some quick hits. Pull up my list. Do that real quick. All right.
Go.
Quick hits. Got one?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
The famous rock climbing sequence was filmed at Dead Horse Point in Utah. Tom Cruise was on cables, which were then digitally removed. Ron Koch was a climbing double, and the overhanging stunt was performed by main stunt double Keith Campbell. Director John Woo was so scared each time, but Tom insisted on doing it.
You don't know scared till you're John Woo scared.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Director John Woo's first cut of this movie clocked in at 3.5 hours. Paramount Pictures balked at this length and told him the final length could not exceed 2 hours. This would explain why there are so many plot holes and continuity errors in the theatrical cut. Can you imagine a 3.5 hour cut of Mission Impossible 2?
No, I really. Release the Woo cut. Release the Woo.
Keep the Woo cut.
Release the Snyder cut. Oh my God, nobody cares.
Keep that shit. I don't want it.
Luther Stickles, Ving Rhames, line, "It's that simple, huh?" After hearing Ethan Hunt's explanation of what he thinks Chimera is, was as a joke about the original Mission Impossible, which was widely criticized for having an overly complicated plot, which is so true. That plot had so many twists and turns that afterwards I'm just like, I don't even care anymore. Like, please stop.
The movie initially was rated R, but was re-rated PG-13 after many action scenes were cut, and the violence was trimmed down considerably.
Let's see. While filming in Sydney, Australia, while filming in Sydney, Australia, Australian newspapers falsely reported that Tom Cruise was acting like a high-maintenance diva by sending out a memo to extras and bit part players telling them not to look him in the eye, which is weird because I've never really heard too many stories of him acting like a diva like that.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that was fun. This
No,
was
it's rare you get those kind of stories about Tom Cruise. Like he's like an ass on set.
This was incorrect. Actors in the horse track sequence were instructed not to look or make eye contact with Cruise during filming because in several daily shots, extras who were starstruck were looking straight at him and pointing, destroying the shot. Gee, I wonder why.
And lastly, the song "I Disappear" by Metallica is on the soundtrack for the movie, and an early unfinished version of the song was leaked on Napster, starting the infamous Metallica versus Napster court case.
Not only that, but I think this was the first time Metallica recorded a song for
a movie. Mm-hmm. Hey, yeah, and I went. Love that record. It's a great song. All right. That was Mission Impossible 2. I don't think I'll be watching this anytime soon.
It'll be a while.
It'll be a while. I have to be like in a Mission Impossible marathon mode.
Marathon mode, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Dave. Start at 3. From now on, start at 3 and move on.
I'm starting at 3, 100%. Dave, where can they find you?
When I'm not in a constant Twitter war over COVID, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at David Danger Neff. I'm the co-host here at Back to the Classics. Happy to be doing this here in Quarantine Edition. Very soon, we will probably no longer be doing these Zoom meetings. I'm not sure. I kind of like them, but at the same time, I understand why we may not be wanting to do so. But, make sure you check out my partner's big moves that he's making.
Yes, sir.
Because these are moves that he is truly making by himself here. So that being said, my guy Jay Alonso, where can they find you, sir?
Well, man, you can find me on all the social media simply at I am Jay Alonso. That's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Of course, like we said, the Back to Classics Movie Talk page, and of course the Back to Classics podcast page on Facebook are both up and running. Jump in, join them both, as well as Spoiling the Classics Movie Talk page, also on Facebook. Jump in there and join the conversation. Follow us at Instagram at BTTC Podcast. And like we said, 2-Minute Drill comes back this Friday at 4 p.m. The players have been selected. Let's play. The battle, myself versus RJ, goes down next Friday, also at 4 p.m. And sometime next week, we're getting a reunion of Turn My Mic Up. With that being said, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Shout out to my boy Dave over there, my big dog, Danger Neff. Shout out to the whole Beat Network crew. We will see you next week. I'm Jay Alonso. With me, of course, is
Danger Neff.
See y'all next week.
Peace.